Afternoon, welcome to JoyNews Today. We're live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125 across all our social media handles. We're JoyNews on TV. Coming up, government questions the latest Afrobarometer report, which has identified a trend of increase in violence, tarnishing the much heralded democratic reputation of Ghana, but says it will work on improving Ghana's democratic cardinals.
Afrobarometer. So I would state that the Afrobarometer report is not a full representation of what the Ghanaian people are thinking and saying.
Also in this bulletin, customers worried about the high cost of basic ingredients such as onions, tomatoes and pepper in the market. We're live at Agboglushi for more. Also in this bulletin, school feeding caterers bare teeth at Auditor General over the report on cooking unwholesome food for school children. We have details as they raise concerns about the accumulated debt owed them by government since 2017. We also have business, sports and showbiz within the next 60 minutes. Take a seat and be my guest. Thanks for choosing us. Now, government has criticized a new Afrobarometer report on African Insights Democracy, which shows that the much touted tag of Ghana being the beacon of democracy in the African continent is currently under serious attack. The report also says there is a growing trend of media stifling, erosion of accountability of institutions in Ghana under President Akufo-Addo's government. But we'll get into that shortly. Spokesperson for Governance and Security, Govt Dankwa, questioned the sample size used to draw conclusion in this data. We'll hear from him as well as Mavis Dome. She is researcher on the Afrobarometer survey at CDD. Let's listen to both of them. We'll be back.
So, first of all, in social science, at a point, we would reach a saturation, and it doesn't matter if you interviewed 10,000, you are going to reach a saturation on the views, summarizing the views. You're going to reach a saturation when it comes to your margin of error in terms of how accurate you would be. And basically, we are saying that if you used our technique, if you use the technique and then you draw your sample 10 times, right? About 9 times, because it's 95, so I don't want to say 10 times. I'll use just about 9 times. You are going to get the figures we got, and the figures variations are only going to be between a plus or minus 2, right? That is what we are saying. Now, the thing is this, that we are not saying that Ghana is not doing well when it comes to democracy. When it comes to democracy, we are doing well. But if you look at the drop in, right, in people saying that the demand for democracy, right, there's a drop. The demand for democracy is dropping.
If you sample 2,400 people out of a voting population of an approximately 18 million people, that's about 0.01333%. And I can appreciate her saturation that she's talking about, but your saturation would only come in when you have sampled half of the population, about 9 million, and you have done your regression and realized that every single statement that is coming is representative of everyone. If you have about 35% out of the 50%, giving the same results, that's where you reach saturation. But you can't reach saturation with 2,400 people. And so I would state that the Afrobarometer report is not a full representation of what the Ghanaian people are thinking and saying. And I would also conclude by saying that when they conclude by stating that the president and Akufo-Addo has gone increasingly heavy-handed, stifling the media and eroding accountability to institutions, it's not what is representative. I would ask for them to render an apology on this conclusion that they have made on the president, because that's not what representative in Ghana. The president is not stiff-handed, is not intimidating the media. Everybody is having an opportunity to express their views and their opinion.
Oh, we've also been speaking with a security analyst, Dr. Victor Doke, who says the research could have dire consequences for the country.
Months or less to the elections, every Ghanaian wants to see that every state institution, security actors are independent, okay, where they exhibit a moral uprightness when it comes to their mandate, neutrality, and then this will enhance the people to have trust in them. Already, the people are questioning some actions of state institutions. For example, the EC, the police service, and whatnot. This is the time to build a consensus with the people and the security actors and state institutions at large, not forgetting the stakeholders who are into politics, the governing side also. We need to ensure that every practice, every approach that we implement has the people by it, for the people, to the benefit of the people. Other than that, we'll just be doing something, we'll come back and then regret. Every Ghanaian wants to ensure that they can go out and vote peacefully without any intimidation from any personnel, from any state institutions. I think it is high time that we educate and sensitize the people, create an awareness for them to look out for what they should view as per their basic human rights, human needs to go out there and vote. The state institutions, whether they need capacity or enhancement or the cards of knowledge or whatever, we should also provide it for them. Election management bodies have to ensure that their dealings, their events or whatever has to be free and fair, neutral. This way, the people will have trust in you. And when the results are declared, everybody is going to accept it and then go by the rules.
Well, the Deputy Commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center says he's worried about threats political instability poses on the African Union's Agenda 2063, which aims at economic transformation and growth. We know that bad governance, violent extremism, among others, continue to drive a surge of coup d'etats in recent years. As about 17 African countries go into election this year, Air Commodore David Ekron is advocating for strong and effective institutions in ensuring democracy is upheld. Nanaya Aljima has more in the following report.
The Deputy Commandant of the KAIPTC was speaking at the third edition of the Stakeholder Dialogue Series themed Enhancing Civic and Institution Building for Sustainable Africa. About 17 countries, including Ghana, have general elections slated for this year. For the recent political tensions recorded in some African countries, the coming elections are deemed key to the development of the continent. Air Commodore David Anete Akron has been explaining the role of good governance and active citizen participation in ensuring peaceful elections.
While the AU Agenda 2063 provides a myriad of opportunities for economic transformation and growth, the continent continues to be threatened with bad governance, violent extremism, terrorism, cyber attacks, political upheavals resulting in a surge of coup d'etats in the last 3 years. The relationship between the country's security situation and this institution is intricate and multifaceted. Strong and effective institutions are essential for ensuring national security and upholding the rule of law, promoting accountability, resolving conflicts, and supporting economic development. By investing in resilient institutions and promoting good governance, countries can enhance their capacity, security architecture, and contribute to sustainable peace and development.
Recent youth uprising in Kenya has raised concerns on the quality of governance and democracy in Africa. Program Executive at the Research Governance of Human Rights at the African Union, Justice Oman, speaks about the need for the citizens' participation in building good governance.
Indeed, this is the time to speak, and this is the time for African citizens to engage constructively in the governance process to build strong, resilient institutions, strong and independent institutions that promote trust, enhance the rule of law, entrench democratic principles and values, and most importantly, protect the fundamental human rights of every African citizen.
The All-African Conference of Churches, Government of Norway, and German Development Corporation sponsored series served as a platform for relevant stakeholders to deliberate on issues that will ensure free and fair electoral processes devoid of violence. For JoyNews, Nana Yauchima, Kumasi.
Let's head now to the Ashanti region because the Progressive School Feeding Caterers Association in the Ashanti region, they are outraged over a report by the Auditor General regarding the serving of unwholesome meals to school children. According to the association, the findings presented in the Auditor General's report are baseless and undermine their effort to prepare wholesome food for students despite government's failure to release funds. Let's cross over live. My colleague Nana Boachi-Adom is there with them for details. Nana, what can you report?
Well, so firstly, the Progressive School Feeding Caterers Association here in the Ashanti region have asked at the Auditor General for its latest report with regards to their activities on school campuses. Well, the latest report from the Auditor General said that the school feeding caterers were preparing unwholesome meals for school children. That was something that really come up with regards to the reports that came not long ago, and then that the school feeding caterers have been overpaid. Well, today the school feeding caterers had to respond to these allegations or the report by the Auditor General, and they are outraged by the report out there, which says that they are cooking unwholesome food for school children. One, they are saying that the government has not been supplying food to them, and so they have to be doing pre-finance to get even goods to prepare food for these school children. And so it is unfair for the Auditor General to come up with such a report. They have denied the claims made by the Auditor General that the food that they are preparing for these school children are unwholesome. They are saying that they do their best and give these school children what is required of them. And then they have also denied allegations made by the Auditor General that they are being overpaid by the school feeding secretariats. Well, they say that majority of them are being owed by government since 2017. We can take a listen to the secretary of the Progressive School Feeding Caterers Association, Dorothy Frimpong.
Press statement to all media. Response to some findings from the Auditor General's report on the management of the school feeding program. We, the school feeding caterers, do appreciate the wonderful work done by the Auditor General, but disagree with some of its findings captured in the report, indicating that the school feeding caterers cook unwholesome food for the peoples in Ghana. The fact that we do appreciate the work done by the Auditor General, we find it strange that the report centralized or generalized the whole Ghana caterers cooking unwholesome food for the children. We do agree with the report stating that the quantity of the food served is inadequate because of the money involved. The Secretariat has not overpaid any caterer, but rather owing some of the caterers since 2017 till date. We are pleading with the Auditor General to reinvestigate this. Also, the public has misinformation about the procurement of the caterers cooking for the basic schools under the school feeding program. Some of the public are accusing the caterers of stealing the foodstuff supplied by the government to cook for the children. We are setting the record straight. The caterers do pre-finance the cooking for the whole year, but the payment is done termly within the year by the School Feeding Secretariat under the Gender Ministry. The government does not supply any food item for the caterers to use in cooking for the children. Every school has been attached with coordinator or coordinators who goes around unannounced to inspect and taste the food. In conclusion, although the amount involved per child is insufficient, the caterers are all mothers and will never and ever use unwholesome foodstuff to cook for the children because the caterers eat the same food, including some of the teachers. On this note, we are therefore appealing to the NGOs and philanthropists across the world to come to the aid of the government to improve the school feeding program. Thank you all.
Back here in Accra, customers are decrying the high cost of basic ingredients such as onions, tomatoes and pepper in the market. At the Agbogboloshi market, prices start from 10 cedis. Onion sellers especially say prices could go higher because its season will soon be over, especially imports from Niger and Nigeria. Let's get more on this. My colleague Mami Esi Thompson is joining us live with more. Mami, what can you report?
So, firstly, I'm currently at the Agbogboloshi market, and if you can hear me, I'm here to shop for some fufu and palm nut soup this weekend. But there are no significant changes in prices. I'm trying to get some onions, some tomatoes, and some peppers. Those are the basic ingredients for any dish that you need. But here at the Agbogboloshi market, even peppers, you're going to get at least 10 cedis. Anything less than that, that means you're not going to get enough for your family and yourself for food. So that is what I'm learning from the market. Now, I'm also learning that tomatoes that used to be selling around 2,000 cedis for the big market has slightly come down to about 1,200 cedis, 3,200 and 1,500 cedis. Now you're getting the market for about 80 cedis. And then for those who want to invest, you are paying about 20, 30. So there's some slight reduction in the prices of tomatoes. However, for onions and then for pepper as well, there are no significant differences in the prices. Now, when you go on to buy other ingredients like yams, rice, oil, salt, even spices, all these ingredients are still on the high side. And so we've been speaking to some customers and traders at the Agbogboloshi market who have been explaining to us. Now the traders have two arguments. They are saying that some of these foods that we more normally buy are seasonal. And so when it's in the lean season, it pushes the prices up. And then also because they are being imported from other countries, the currency is not helping. Because you need to obviously change more to be able to buy in those foreign times. And so we can listen to some of the people that I've been speaking to.
In subsequent bulletin, we will get the Agric Ministry to tell us how they plan to fix this problem. Meanwhile, traders at Techiman in the central market are appealing to authorities to implement policies to reduce the rampant increase in prices of maize at the market. The traders, who attribute the price hike to the scarcity of the commodity, which is fueled by the exportation of maize by two neighboring Francophone countries, want authorities to ban its export to prevent a possible shortage in the country. And as Sabit has more in this report.
The current scarcity of maize, coupled with a spike in its prices across major markets in the country, continue to pose as a major threat to food security in the country, with traders here at the Techiman maize market lamenting the negative effects of the current situation on their lives in general. They are saying that traders from neighboring Burkina Faso, Mali and Ivory Coast are trooping into the country to buy the little maize we have in the country due to the exchange rate that is quite favoring them. They are saying that if care is not taken, the time will come where food will be scarce in the country if care is not taken. We've been speaking with some traders here at the Techiman maize market, and these are some of the things they've been telling us.
The
maize production in the country has been affected due to the rain pattern, and the little that we have here is being taken away by traders from neighboring Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. The actions means we do not have some to sell to our customers.
Report that we are hearing that these people, Côte d'Ivoire people, they used to come here and then buy the maize, transport them back to Côte d'Ivoire, because our currency it has been a beans. So instead of we, the Ghanaian people, to sell to ourselves, they are rather selling to the foreigners because of our currency.
No credit. I bring you. There's no
news in the market, and this is because our suppliers from the northern part of the country are exporting the product to the neighboring countries, thereby putting us out of business.
As I say, no, the Ghana by on wire. In job where I say,
the government has not been helping us. We have allowed other countries to get into the country to take the little food we have, and this is because of the weak nature of our currency. So what is the government doing to save the fallen cedi?
A bag of maize some 3 weeks ago used to sell at 630 Ghana cedis. Now, 3 weeks on, same bag of maize here at the Tichiman maize market is being sold around 850 Ghana cedis. A situation these traders are saying is affecting, buying and selling, as buyers are unable to afford.
And as Sabi joins us live with more, and asks, what are the prices now at the market?
The price is ranging between 850 Ghana cedis and 900 Ghana cedis. When I checked this morning, what is even more worrying is the fact that the commodity is not even available for buyers or traders to buy within the market. Almost all the maize that we are getting at the 6 months market is going to be exported. So those who are trying to buy a bag or 2 or more are loitering about assets without, the maize assets to the maize. So already feeling the scarcity, which most of them have already been selling as if not taken soon will run out of maize at the 6 month maize market. And let's not forget that the 6 month maize market is the center as far as maize, trade is concerned in the country. The southern part of the country, Kumasi, Accra, Tepu, Tapa, they all come to buy this commodity. So at the time, the situation is actually, pushing the price higher, because once it is not available, the little ones that are in the market are being sold at higher cost. And this, as we heard the traders say, because the neighboring countries are taking into the country to buy the maize because the exchange rate is quite expensive. So maybe the expensive in their country, when they come to buy from this end, they sell it and then they make a lot of money. And so these traders are only calling on authorities to institute measures that will, stop the export of this product. By doing so, the little that we have in the country will be available in the market for buyers to buy as they give the sale.
Thank you, Anas Sabit, joining us live from the Borno East region. Now, Assistant Commissioner of Police, retired Benjamin Agwozom, has endorsed the appointment of COP Christian Tete Yohonu as Deputy Inspector General of Police. COP Yohonu's designation as Deputy IGP in charge of operation has raised some questions as to whether this could open doors for other appointments to the police hierarchy. While speaking to JoyNews, the former police officer said there is nothing wrong with the president's appointment. Let's listen.
He doesn't take over the position of the IGP, but he reports to the IGP, but he must directly supervise some of these people who must report to him, through him, to the Inspector General of Police. And the administration, in case there's administration, then you see that that person will be dealing with technical issues. They may be dealing with services, Department of Services, may be dealing with research and planning, maybe dealing with Police Professional Standards Bureau, like what we used to call PIPs. All those people come under operation, under administration. So there is no duplication here at all. It doesn't mean that Mr. Yohonu is going to take Director General Operations job. No, it doesn't mean. But he goes wide. I mean, his supervisory work is expanded. When he was Director General Administration, he was doing routine work. Because routine work of signing documents and giving directives generally.
Let's do some politics now. In flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, says he will set up a commission of inquiry to investigate and return looted state lands if elected president. Speaking during a tour of the Adentan constituency, he talked about establishing a national women's bank to give women soft loans to enable them trade. Maxwell Agwagwa has more in this report.
Some students and first-time voters at the University of Ghana singing to welcome the NDC flag bearer to campus. In his speech, John Mahama criticized the NPP running mate for saying President Kufuor has achieved more than any Ghanaian president, including Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He says the claim is evidence that the NPP is oblivious to current happenings.
But it appears that those in charge of this country do not even appreciate the economic crisis in which we are. Because if Ghana is going through the severest economic crisis it has ever faced in the history of this country, and people in this government can tell us to say thank you to them and to praise them as the best government in the history of this country, then they've got it all wrong, completely wrong. The reality that they talk about is not the same reality you are facing, where you have to do 010 or 001 or 100. And the extreme case is 000. So if somebody comes and tells you that in these circumstances, they are the best government in the history of Ghana from Nkrumah's time, then they've got it completely wrong.
Fit Solutions prediction of victory for the NDC has also come up strongly, and some of the people here have been commenting on that. Many of them who have been speaking to say they are not surprised.
It's not likely. He is winning the election. Period. Nothing. You can't tell us anything. That is the fact. We are choosing experience. You understand? That is the fact. Nobody can tell us anything. There is a man whose record has lived before him. You understand? And that is what Ghanaians want. We don't want people who can talk. You understand? We want people who can do the work, and that is JM for you. He has won, hands down.
He's an excellent leader. He's done it before. He will do it again, and there is proof. We don't talk. We don't gibberish. We show working, and he's going to win the elections. He's going to do it, and he's going to do it again. The current government has failed us. He has failed us. He has failed us. Like F9 failed.
F9 failed. Not even E8. F9 failed.
At a mini deba at Balishi, John Mahama said the killing of 8 people during the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections remains a blot on the conscience of the nation. He says if the NDC wins power, it will pay compensation to the victims of the House of West Wuogon violence and also ensure persons responsible for the death of the 8 people during the 2020 elections are punished.
You're watching JoyNews Today. We'll be back with business, sports, and showbiz. Do stay tuned in.
Welcome to Business on JoyNews Today. My name is Winston Taki, and out of Falls business story. Investment in transition, harmonization of regulation, generations, inadequacies, and more are the reasons hampering the export and trade of electricity in the West African region. That is according to the Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Dr. Ishmael Aka. Although the South region is endowed with generational capacity of electricity, it trades only 10% of the power generated. Speaking to the media at press briefing ahead of the 9th Regional Electricity Regulatory Forum, Dr. Aka called on member states in the West African region to ensure a harmonized system to promote the trading of electricity.
The West African region accounts for about 1/3 of African gas and oil reserves and over 23,000 megawatts of exploitable hydropower capacity. Currently, the sub-region trades less than 10% of its combined generation capacity. Research shows that importing electricity may be cheaper than producing in some countries. Hence, the need has arisen to champion the trade of electricity in ECOWAS. Here is Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission calling on West African states to harmonize policies to support the trading of power.
So why are we not exporting? Why are we not trading? There are a number of reasons. Investments in transmission, harmonization of regulations, generation inadequacy, and a number of factors. So for me, I also joined the Executive Secretary of Energy Commission to say that this is a very timely forum. I mean, we are trading, in terms of trade, we are doing less than 10%. That is not good enough. So to take stock and also assess what are the barriers to electricity trade in the sub-region.
Engineer Oscar Amonu-Neza, Executive Secretary at the Energy Commission, noted that policies are being constituted to enhance the already existing competitive renewable energy procurement scheme to drive down the price of electricity.
We're looking at prices coming down, which at the end of the day, when we add the complement of the renewable energy sources to that which we get from the conventional source, it's definitely, we expect that the prices are going to drop. So it's just a matter of time as we develop the renewable energy market and as we also try to meet the demands as specified in the energy transition framework. We believe strongly that this is definitely going to add up and making us get that sustainable energy at a reliable and an affordable price.
Ahead of the 9th Regional Electricity Regulatory Forum, Chairman of the ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Authority, Koku Laurent Rodrigue Tosu, noted that the conference will seek to harmonize policies across the sub-region to promote trade.
All the rules who are going to be approved by ECOWAS Commission or the head of state in ECOWAS Commission is reviewed by this body to be sure that it is in the same level or the same way with the policy of each country. So we put in place that body to be sure that the guideline in the market, electricity market, is sure.
The Chief Executive of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, Robert Jatto, has advised newly inducted bankers to demonstrate professionalism and good ethics. The Institute inducted 237 banking professionals at its 50th induction ceremony, with female professionals making up to 51% of the inductees. The following report has more.
At the 15th induction ceremony of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, Ghana, 237 banking professionals were inducted, marking a significant milestone in the institute history. This year's induction was particularly noteworthy for sustaining gender parity, with female professionals making up 51% of the inductees. Addressing the ceremony, Chief Executive of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, Robert Jatto, highlighted the institute's commitment to enhancing the banking profession through innovative certifications and programs.
It might interest you to note that last year we had, for the very first time, majority of our graduates and inductees being females. This year, out of the 237, 120 are females. That's 51%. So clearly we are on the path of sustainability. Mr. President, over the last 4.5 years, therefore, as an institute, we've contributed 1,017 trusted professionals to meet the human capital needs of our industry.
On this spot, Chief Executive Officer of First Bank Ghana, Victor Yawasanti, who was the special guest of honor, heralded the depth, diversity, and quality of the new professionals.
That'll be all for business. We're back with more news after this break. Stay tuned.
Time now to bring you sports here on JoyNews Today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Former Chief Executive Officer of Accra House of Folk, Harry Zakor, has called on the board of the club to set up young men to run the affairs of the club. According to him, the current board is full of old men and women who do not have the time to manage the club's day-to-day activities.
When I started winning, I think people say it's in Ga, Mukwaya, Mukwaba. I heard it at the stadium and I said, no, I will go. I ran the club for 6 good years. There's nothing on the earth I never won. Top 4, Gala, everything I won. I won the top 4, everything. I won the league 6 times. I won the FA.
Yes, the Africa Super Cup.
I won the Super and the CAF Cup. So that is enough. That's what make me who I am today. House made me who I am today. I'm so proud of House of Folk. So when I see House is in a difficult, it is my body.
You should have bought shares in the club.
They won't give it to me. Togbe will not give it to me. He never want to flow my shares. How much is my shares? $150,000 or $140,000, which I paid for the ticket and traveling. If you have put in that $140,000, $150,000 those days, 20 years in the bank, how much interest will you get by now? Would I be number 1 floating shares in the club? But I don't want to fight anybody. It's on document. It's in my box here, in my office. And they have it in house administration. Ashfoteta has everything. But what do I have to fight? To take House to court? It will be a disgrace for Harry Zakor to take House to court.
I come back and talk about, yes, I can understand that you don't want to take the club to court, but what happens to the club actually gets you pained.
You see, what I see is happening now.
So what is not happening right? What are they not doing right?
You see, in my time, you had a good board of directors. If I look at recently...
The current board is not good enough?
You need youth. You don't need old men to come and run a club. Would they have time to come and run a crowd of folk? Would they have time, those board at the moment who are there now? Are they going to the training ground or going to the camp to look after the boys? You know, the boys need attention. Footballers are like women. If you don't give them attention, how do you get results from them?
Young men, footballers are like women. So give your wives attention.
Yeah, hey, you don't give your wife attention at all. You leave the house in the morning and don't give chop money. And see what happens to you the next day in the morning.
You will not eat.
You will not sleep on that bed.
The conversation will be on this platform on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, Africa seems to be the focus of German foreign policy this week, with the German foreign minister traveling to Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire in a big conference on the Sahel being organized in Berlin. Now, let's get more on this and the foreign minister's trip. We're joined now by Thomas Bauer, his political correspondent from our partner station DW in Berlin. Thomas, tell us, why were these two countries chosen for the trip, and what are the overall goals?
Well, as with many trips to Africa, this visit by Foreign Minister Baerbock to Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire is based both on fostering opportunities and at the same time assessing potential risks. If we begin with the opportunities, Germany sees Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire as two West African countries that are also important partners in a broader region that has been marked by political and military instability. The German government has said that in times of global tensions, Berlin is not only looking for partners in, let's say, Paris, Washington or London, but also in cities like Dakar or Abidjan. And Foreign Minister Baerbock said she would look at the entire spectrum of relations. That basically means also politically, economically and culturally with both countries. And there's one concrete example that I would like to highlight, because it was a first-hand look at an electric bus project in Dakar, which is supported by an European Union project, and it uses German software. And in Côte d'Ivoire, Germany also stressed the great potential for German investment in areas like renewable energies. But beyond these kinds of examples, it's clear that Baerbock's visit was also about regional tensions.
Now let's delve a little bit deeper into this potential regional risk. How concerned is Germany about these tensions?
The German government is indeed looking closely at what's happening very specifically in the Sahel region. In fact, Germany recently announced withdrawal of soldiers from Niger, and it ended last year its mission in Mali. But the government has said it still has, from a political and security perspective, an interest in a stable Sahel. Baerbock said in Dakar that regional security in Africa is closely linked with Germany's own security and development. And she emphasized that terrorism, migration, organized crime and poverty in that part of Africa are directly affecting Europe. If we look specifically at migration, for example, Senegal has become a major transit point for refugees fleeing violence in the Sahel, seeking their way to Europe. If we look at political instability, since 2020, Mali, Chad, Guinea, Burkina Faso, Niger and Gabon have all seen military uprisings. And these are developments that are concerning for the German government, and this essentially explains the need for the German foreign minister to have high-level political talks in both countries. But Baerbock also visited counter-terrorism training in the Ivory Coast, aimed at preventing spillover of terrorism from the central Sahel region. And beyond all this, there's also political calculation from Germany and, by the way, from other European governments as well, because political presence in these countries is needed to also avoid countries like Russia or China from having a larger footprint in the region.
I know that a high-level conference in Berlin specifically addressed these issues in the Sahel. Tell us more about that.
The German government is indeed looking closely at what's happening very specifically in the Sahel region. In fact, Germany recently announced withdrawal of soldiers from Niger, and it ended last year its mission in Mali. But the government has said it still has, from a political and security perspective, an interest in a stable Sahel. Baerbock said in Dakar that regional security in Africa is closely linked with Germany's own security and development. And she emphasized that terrorism, migration, organized crime and poverty in that part of Africa are directly affecting Europe.
Thank you, Thomas Sparrow, for joining us live from Berlin. You're watching JoyNews Today. That's how we draw the curtains. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Some top stories there. You see corruption everywhere. It's alarming under this government, and that's coming from Dumelovu.
The developments that
My name is Faustina Safo. Thank you for making time to join us. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs.